Okay, hi. I'd like to talk to you about the options for reducing scoliosis. We're not even talking about stabilising, we're actually talking about getting it down. And the importance of doing this is because there are a number of options out there, and we'd actually like to just help you make an informed decision. What we see is that there's options whether bracing works or not, whether there's other therapies like bracing and exercises, or whether there's the method that I'm actually promoting here, which is actually increasing your knowledge to change faulty behaviours so that the behaviours themselves will actually reduce your scoliosis. What I'd like to do is I'd actually like to go through a little bit of a comparison with you using a model that's in the clinic now. Now, this person's actually tried bracing, and her curve is at 57 degrees, which is a fairly substantial curve. And what that really means is that the next way of reducing scoliosis at that level is with surgery. Now, surgery is not really an option for many people. They don't want it. They much prefer a natural method that could reduce the spine, and we're hoping that we've got something here that would excite you. So let's go through and take a look at this model in here. Now we're actually going to take a look at the idea of bracing and exercises firstly. So bracing basically stops everything. It stops all behaviour. You can't really move inside a brace, and some people don't tolerate that very well at all. But the idea of actually taking the brace off and then doing some exercises can actually be quite helpful. The reason being is that once all faulty behaviours, and actually all behaviours, have been stopped, you can actually apply some great methods like the Schroth method to be able to help reduce your spine. And I think that that's fantastic to be able to do that if you can tolerate the brace. And sometimes the brace can be worn for 2+ years. In serial bracing, it could be up to 10 years. Now, that's not really the way in which I'd like to treat my family members or yours. What I prefer to do is actually give them some understanding as to what causes scoliosis by identifying faulty behaviours. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this now is that if faulty behaviours aren't corrected, what you are left with over a period of time using the bracing and exercise model is the rest of your life performing exercises on a daily basis to be able to keep a scoliosis in check. Again, that really doesn't appeal to me. What I'd really like to see is that people could just basically do what they do throughout their day and keep their scoliosis in check anyway. Now, if you don't have that level of understanding, well then what takes place is that you're actually going to be fighting an uphill battle. Let's take a look at this model now on the screen, and we'll see what takes place after 3 days. Just correcting faulty behaviours. And we can see here that there are a number of markers on the spine. The black dots themselves represent where the spine is, but the red line actually represents where it should be. That's called the centre of gravity. We can see how the shoulder blades are continually flaring on both sides, indicating that the shoulders are quite rounded. We can see that the waist curve itself here is quite pronounced on the left. There tends to be a migration of the chest cage over to the right. 3 days later, what we can see is that, in actual fact, the spine itself has moved back to centre. The size of the curve, which is away from the red line, has decreased markedly, and the waist curve has also changed as well. The limitations with a 3-day approach at changing behaviours are that the spine's not going to stay there. So don't be fooled into thinking that that's a great before and after change, which is permanent. It's not. That's not permanent change. But this is. 2.5 months later, what you can see is that there's been continued reduction, and that this is the result now of the spine. So what you really see here is that that waist curve has continued to drop even further, and it looks like it's becoming more symmetrical. The shoulder blades are still rounded. The size of the curve has come down considerably to the point where you really don't need any more X-ray radiation to determine whether this treatment is being successful or not. Ideally, less X-rays, the better for the patient. But what we'd like to do now is actually see that this curve continues to move closer and closer to the red centre of gravity line, and that also that the waist curve continues to decrease so that it actually becomes symmetrical, and that the shoulder blades themselves are now starting to be brought into and under control by being flattened against the chest cage so that there's no scapular winging. And that's those pointy bits that you see. Now, in actual fact, this is taking place in this client as well now. So we're going to keep this updated on our website in real time so that you can really see what's going on. So I'd invite you to take a look. Thanks for listening.